Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today for our weekly webinar with Railbookers. Today, focusing on Canada and the Canadian Rockies and the great opportunities to explore our great country by rail, using Via Rail as your means of transportation. My name's Chris David. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Railbookers and our sister company, Amtrak Vacations, here in Canada. I'm going to be your host today. We should be together for about a half hour or so, with possibly a few minutes at the end for question time as well. To kick things off this morning, let's take a quick look at what we're going to be covering, an overview of today's presentation. First off, a little bit about Railbookers and some of the basics about traveling and exploring Canada by rail. The main focus today will be on the destinations that you can explore within Canada, and we're going to be looking at several itineraries which really showcase the opportunities for going around Canada by rail and exploring the great highlight cities and national park destinations across the country. I'm going to be talking a little bit about customizing, because that's a big part of our offering, and the way we operate at Railbookers is enabling you to customize your vacation to include the destinations and the components that meet your specific needs and objectives for your vacation. And also, as a part of the webinar, we will be touching on safety and the health and safety protocols that have been adopted by Via Rail to ensure that it's safe to travel by train and to provide peace of mind for anybody considering a rail vacation for their next trip as we emerge from the COVID pandemic that we've been dealing with for the last 18 months or so. I'd like to give you a quick introduction to our company. We are called the Yankee Leisure Group, and we are a tour operator that specializes in rail travel, working in partnership with rail operators, train companies around the world to provide vacation experiences. We have two different brands. In the US, we're the official tour operator for Amtrak, and so we work in partnership with Amtrak to provide all of the vacation packages into the US national parks, city getaways across the country, and other great rail-related vacation experiences throughout the lower 48 US states. Railbookers is our brand that covers all other destinations worldwide aside from the USA, or from the lower 48 US states. Under Railbookers and on our website, you will find rail vacation options in Europe, in Canada, in Alaska. Alaska is a fantastic destination to explore by train, and actually has its own railroad, Alaska Railroad. Although it's part of the US, Amtrak doesn't venture that far north, and so all of those Alaska packages are under Railbookers as well, in addition to luxury train experiences around the world on the Orient Express, the Golden Eagle Trans-Siberian, the Maharajas Express, the GAN and India Pacific in Australia, the Blue Train in South Africa. So truly a very comprehensive and worldwide collection of incredible rail travel experiences available through Railbookers and Amtrak Vacations. We have 3 different new e-brochures that we've just launched, in addition to the main catalog, which you see on the right of the screen, the Worldwide Independent Rail Vacations, which is a comprehensive collection of train trips in various destinations around the world. We also have 2 specific specialized catalogs this year, focusing on on luxury rail journeys. So those incredible luxury trains like the Orient Express that you see pictured on the cover, and as well cruise extensions. That's something that we really specialize in at Railbookers. Short trips that enable you to travel from cruise ports on the great rivers and the ocean ports in Europe and other destinations as well, to go and explore further inland before or after your cruise. Fantastic example of that is Switzerland, where many people do Rhine cruises starting or ending in Basel, and from there are wonderful packages going into the Swiss Alps and exploring the incredible train travel experiences throughout Switzerland on the iconic scenic trains from Basel. We have the unique ability at Railbookers to enable you to book and confirm your trip traveling by train, along with your hotel arrangements and all the other components of your independent trip 2 years in advance of travel. This is something quite unique and a huge benefit. Something you may not be aware of is that the rail operators in Europe, those train companies like Trenitalia, Deutsche Bahn, etc., normally don't actually issue tickets more than 60 or 90 days prior to departure. So the ability to book it all, confirm it, and lock in the price at today's rates for a vacation right into the first half of 2023 is really a great benefit, a convenience, and an opportunity to get the best possible value. We've just introduced a new website at Railbookers, which I would encourage you all to visit. It's fantastic. It's got wonderful search features that enable you to search by destination. You can actually pick a couple of different destinations, cities that you're interested in, and you'll get an automatic result of all the tours, the itineraries that include those destinations. Also some wonderful hotel information. We have the ability at Railbookers to customize your hotel by destination on each night of your trip. And on the website, when you look at an itinerary, you'll see all the different accommodation options for every night of the trip in every destination. We partner directly with the rail operators at Railbookers. That's one of the things that has enabled us to book 2 years in advance, working directly with Deutsche Bahn, Trenitalia, SNCF, Renfe, the Spanish rail operator, and all of these companies. We have access to their inventory. They enable us to have direct access to all of the segments that they operate on every route. Europe, by the way, has over 30,000 train stations and 3,000 different routes. So we can access those and we can book them all 2 years in advance. This is one of the reasons why people have found it so convenient to plan independent travel using rail as the means of transportation through Railbookers. We have the expertise to be able to advise you or your travel advisor on exactly what is the best route to use. Again, so many different ways to get between destination cities in Europe, and it's helpful to have that advice of an expert. We're intimately familiar and deeply knowledgeable in everything to do with rail travel, the schedules, the timetables, the routes. We're able to book 2 years in advance, which is another huge benefit that you won't find anywhere else. We have the flexibility at Railbookers to customize any of the itineraries to include additional rail segments anywhere the train goes. A huge selection and variety of different kinds of experiences, from luxury trains, specialty trains, and of course the high-speed regional rail networks throughout Europe. And so when it comes to rail travel, what's complicated and difficult for others is easy for us at Railbookers, because it's our unique area of specialty. So if you're working with a travel agent, just have them call Railbookers on your behalf, and we'll be able to set up your itinerary, no matter how complex, how many different segments, all in one phone call, and do it all 2 years out. We're a worldwide company at Railbookers, also with offices in Australia, the UK, both sides of the US, and here in Canada. So anywhere you are traveling with us, we'll be able to support you with that 24-hour emergency support in destination. An additional bit of peace of mind. Our name, Railbookers, gives many people the impression that that is what we do. We book rail, and we're only about rail tickets. In reality, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We at Railbookers are a tour operator. We're an independent tour operator specializing in rail transportation. So what we do is allow you to put together a trip traveling independently throughout the destination, using train to get around, but we also take care of all the other components of the experience: the hotels, the sightseeing, the transfers from airport to hotel, local transportation. Things that can be quite difficult to arrange, like ferries, can be booked through Railbookers, as well as all your excursions and your sightseeing. So really, it is a turnkey solution to set up the entire vacation, including getting around by rail and all the other aspects. And what we provide is a completely customizable vacation package. So when you look on our website, you'll see a wide, very, very wide range of itineraries. Bear in mind that all of those can be customized. You can add on additional cities, destinations into the itinerary, add extra nights in any of the cities. You can add extra rail journeys so that a trip that starts in one city and ends in another can be turned into a round trip by adding a rail journey back to the points to the departure city. You can upgrade the rail accommodation on board from economy to first class. In many cases in Europe, there are multiple classes of accommodation that you can choose from, and any of the sightseeing experiences or excursions that you're interested in can be included into your trip. And when it comes to hotels, you have that ability to choose between 3, 4, and 5-star options on every night of the trip. So you can add a little bit of luxury. If you don't want to blow the budget by going 5-star throughout the trip, you can add 1 or 2 iconic 5-star resort properties that you may have dreamed of staying at in certain destinations along the way, because you have that ability to customize in every destination. If you're concerned about your options in the event of having to cancel or reschedule your trip with Railbookers, you can do so 5 days prior to your departure. This is for bookings made up till the end of September. And in the event that you cancel, you would receive a 2-year future travel credit that is completely flexible, in that it can be used towards absolutely anything. It can be split over multiple new bookings. You're not restricted to rebook what you had booked originally, and you can even transfer your credit for any funds on file at the time of cancellation to any other person that you may specify. So enormous flexibility there. Here you see the Canadian rail network map. This shows you everywhere that the Via Rail trains travel, the passenger trains throughout Canada. We work directly in partnership with Via Rail, and we have access to all of those train segments, so we can put together vacations, including any destinations along that route. We also work with other rail operators in Canada, like Rocky Mountaineer. So we have that ability to combine Via Rail and Rocky Mountaineer in one itinerary, 2 unique, very different types of rail travel experience, one going overnight by train, for example, from Toronto into Jasper on the Via Rail Canadian train, and then you could combine that with a journey on the Rocky Mountaineer from Banff down into Vancouver, which is a very popular option, and I'll be talking a little bit later about an itinerary along those lines. Here's a quick look at what Via Rail is doing to provide peace of mind and ensure that the health and safety protocols are being observed on their trains. First off, at the moment, masks are required for passengers and staff in open areas of the trains. So in the economy seating carriages where there are open seats, in the dining and observation cars. However, if you have a private compartment, naturally you can remove your mask. You don't have to have a face covering in the privacy of your own cabin compartment on board the train. Food service has been amended on the Via Rail trains. On the shorter corridor service, food is not being served at the moment if it's short trips of just a few hours. And on the overnight trains, the dining cars are open only at breakfast and dinner. That's at the moment. This is changing all the time as we see developments with COVID and as things start opening up. Seat configuration on the trains has been limited so that there is lots of space on board for social distancing guidelines to be maintained. On the corridor service, every other seat is blocked, so there'll be plenty of space between you and the next passenger. And of course, sanitization is taking place on an ongoing basis, all the frequently touched surfaces being cleaned and sanitized on board and in stations, and all paper has been done away with. So there's no tickets or cash changing hands on the train. Infrared scanners and touchless processes have been adopted for that. With those preliminaries out of the way, let's dive in and look at the fantastic opportunities for exploring Canada by rail, starting with the Grand Canada and the Rockies westbound. Traveling across Canada by train is a fantastic way to really take the full measure of our country and get a feeling and a sense of what Canada is all about. You're traveling at eye level, seeing the scenery change as you go from province to province. And the journey on board Via Rail's Canadian train, which is the iconic train that connects Toronto and Vancouver, takes you around the Great Lakes, through the prairies, into the Canadian Rockies, and then over to the West Coast. So really a wonderful experience if you really want to get in touch with our great country. Your trip would start in Toronto. We have hotel accommodation included in Toronto, as well as sightseeing. The included sightseeing will take you around to all the highlight attractions in Toronto, including the Royal Ontario Museum, Casa Loma, Hockey Hall of Fame, the Toronto Harbour, Eaton Centre, Chinatown. We also have an included highlight dinner in Toronto. I should mention that these trips are all customizable. So if you if you live in Toronto and you're doing the trip out west, you prefer not to have the included accommodation and sightseeing in Toronto, the itinerary can absolutely be amended so that you can just start your trip boarding the train at Union Station. There is also included for those perhaps coming in from other provinces or who wish to have that full experience of the Golden Horseshoe, there's the included trip down to Niagara. And it's a fantastic day excursion to Niagara where you'll have an included meal overlooking the falls, a scenic boat cruise, a winery tour and tasting, and there's also time to check out the other attractions and highlights around the falls and on the Niagara Parkway that are just fantastic to explore. The Butterfly Conservatory, spending time in Niagara on the lake as well. Then it's off to heading west on the iconic Via Rail Canadian train. This journey takes 4 days and 4 nights if you were to do it uninterrupted traveling across the country. Most people would include an interlude in the Canadian Rockies, and this itinerary includes 5 nights between Jasper and Banff. So you'll be going to be traveling through magnificent scenery on board the train, and the Canadian is really configured and set up to showcase the scenery and to provide the best possible experience of that scenery with glass-domed observation cars that you can sit in and enjoy the wonderful landscapes. The food on board Via Rail is known to be of a particularly high standard, excellent service provided on that journey as well, making it an adventure and a fantastic way to explore Canada. There you see the glass-domed panorama car on the Canadian train, which again is another environment away from your compartment or your seat. And this is one of the wonderful things about rail travel. You're not confined to your seat. You can get up, walk around, spending time in different areas on board, such as the panorama car. In Jasper, you have the ability to select from numerous different hotels with our Railbookers packages. As I mentioned, you have 3, 4, and 5-star options. Why not upgrade when there to the Fairmont Jasper Park Lodge, which is an iconic property in the Canadian Rockies. It has all the amenities you could possibly ask for, right there in the heart of Jasper National Park. And a little known fact about the JPL is that it has unrivaled golf opportunities. The golf course has been ranked as Canada's #1 golf resort. So what a great way if you're interested in combining a little bit of golf along with your sightseeing and your experience and a little bit of hiking. What a fantastic combination of different kind of experiences. And from the JPL, you can also arrange canoeing, kayaking, mountain biking, trail hikes, and so much more. We're going to include, as part of our package, an excursion throughout Jasper National Park, which is the largest national park in the Canadian Rockies. And you're going to go to all the highlight areas and points of interest. Maligne Canyon, for views of the stunning waterfalls. You're going to go to a Medicine Lake and Maligne Lake. So all of these fantastic highlights throughout Jasper National Park. If you choose not to partake in the excursion through the national park, the alternate experience that you can take is a flight on board the Jasper SkyTram, which is amazing. You have fully trained and knowledgeable guides who are going to point out the many sites and answer all your questions about the magnificent region. And you're up at over 7,000 feet in altitude, looking out over the incredible Canadian Rockies. From Jasper, it's down to Banff on the Icefields Parkway, which is one of the most scenic highways in the world. And during that magnificent ride, by the way, that's done by road in a motor coach. There is no train link between Jasper and Banff. So you're going to be going on an excursion down the Icefields Parkway, and you'll stop at the Columbia Icefield. There's the incredible glacier there that you can go out onto on these specialized vehicles. And there's also the Glacier Skywalk, which is this incredible feat of engineering, the glass-bottomed pedestrian bridge walkway that goes out over the valley with these magnificent views. The next destination on the itinerary is Banff, and while there, again, you have the ability to select from numerous different hotels and lodgings in the town of Banff. You can also choose the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel, or as pictured here, the magnificent Rimrock, which is just gorgeous. So again, you have that ability to select your accommodation options, and perhaps in one of the destinations in the Rockies, Banff or Jasper, you'd like to just go all out and opt for one of these great 5-star properties. There's an excursion through Banff National Park as well included in the itinerary. A sightseeing tour that takes you throughout the national park. You also have included admission to the Banff Gondola, which goes to the top of Sulphur Mountain. Absolutely magnificent views over the town of Banff and the surrounding Rockies. And included as well is a cruise on Lake Minnewanka, which is the only lake in Banff National Park that allows powerboats. And during that cruise, you'll go out to Devil's Gap, and there's an interpretive tour that tells you all about the rich history and local lore of the lake and surrounding mountains. There is evidence of habitation at Lake Minnewanka going back 13,000 years. So a lot of really interesting history to learn about there. From Banff, you're going to go back up to Jasper to rejoin the Via Rail Canadian route and head down by train into Vancouver, back on the Canadian, which is an absolutely magnificent journey through the Rockies. By the way, that journey is timed in such a way that you're going to have maximum opportunity to enjoy the views and the landscapes as you're going through these most scenic areas of the mountains. So you're going to be traveling by daylight. And along the way, you will pass the tallest peak in the Canadian Rockies, which is Mount Robson. So be sure to have your seat in the observation car and have your camera ready when you're going down past the iconic Mount Robson. In Vancouver, there's included sightseeing as well, 2 nights hotel accommodation. And again, the itineraries can be modified to give you as much or as little additional time in the bookend cities of Toronto and Vancouver. If you choose to take the package the way it's designed, you'll have 2 nights in Vancouver and your included city pass, which will take you throughout Vancouver. There is admission to the Vancouver Lookout, and you'll get to visit and see all the landmarks, including Stanley Park, Chinatown, Gastown, Granville Island, and more. The Canadian Rail experience, the next itinerary, just to kind of give you another option for crossing Canada by rail. The Canadian Rail experience is really the most basic and simplest way to do this. This is perfectly suited to people who really just want to have that experience of crossing the country on the train. You're not stopping in the Rockies en route. It's a journey of 4 days and 4 nights. We've included 1 night in Toronto and 2 in Vancouver at each end. Again, that can be customized if you want to add additional time in either of those bookend cities on the route. So again, you're traveling on the Canadian. Various different levels of accommodation on board. You can go in economy seating, which is basically a seat in an open in the economy carriage, large reclining seats with lots of leg room. However, if you're traveling in economy, your meals aren't included, and you're sleeping at your seat as well. So most people on that journey of 4 days and 4 nights across Canada would opt for some form of sleeping accommodations on board. But again, everyone has access to the observation cars, and the dining car is a fantastic place to, enjoy the scenery while having your meals. Each of the carriages on the train has a dedicated cabin attendant who's going to be providing tea and coffee service throughout the journey. And you can opt on board Via Rail for Prestige, which is the luxury 5-star version or accommodation available on Via Rail. It's incredible, really an incredible way to experience rail travel. You have the wood-paneled compartment with a full double bed, beautifully appointed washroom. You have concierge service throughout the journey, and an exclusive lounge at the back of the train for the Prestige passengers, where interactive presentations are provided. Eastern Canada, another option available for exploring and getting a better feel for the country. These are destination cities that many of us have had the opportunity to visit. But really, I think what's trending at the moment is the idea of turning Canada into a vacation destination and taking the time to explore in greater depth all of the destinations of touristic interest and learning a bit more about the history and the highlights in a vacation that really takes in some of the great cities across Canada. And Eastern Canada is something that many people are discovering. We're so fortunate in Canada to have wonderful destinations in our own backyard, like Montreal, Quebec City, and Halifax, with lots of history and amazing scenery and wonderful sights to see and explore. So here you have a package that starts in Niagara Falls, traveling eastward on the corridor train that connects Toronto with Quebec City. So you're going to have that included experience at Niagara Falls, taking in all the highlights there. We include the Niagara Adventure Pass, which gives you access to all those different experiences at the falls. You're then traveling by train through to Montreal, which, by the way, traveling by train is so convenient because the stations are right in the heart of the city, incredibly centrally located. So it's a way to travel independently without having to worry about parking and rental cars and navigating, because you're arriving right in the city centers. If you're familiar with some of the Canadian cities and the rail station locations, I'm just thinking of Montreal, Vancouver, and Toronto. The station is right there in the heart of the action, where you want to be. So it's just a short walk or a very short cab ride from station to hotel, and then you can hit the ground running, exploring the destination and really soaking up the atmosphere. In Montreal, we included a guided tour that will take you all around the city, bring you to popular attractions like the Olympic Stadium, Notre Dame Basilica, and the amazing Place Jacques Cartier, to really get a feel for the wonderful atmosphere of Montreal. From there, it's off to Quebec City, and on arrival in Quebec City, there's a full day to explore independently. Just amazing how much history we have within Canada. Quebec City dating back to the 18th century, and amazing historical destinations and sites to explore, such as the Plains of Abraham, which is right there behind the incredible Fairmont Chateau Frontenac, and is the site of the Battle of the Plains of Abraham, dating back to 1759, where basically the British won Quebec from the French. Amazing history to be able to, stroll on that site. From Quebec City, traveling overnight on the ocean train towards Halifax through beautiful scenery. The ocean is known for a wonderful atmosphere on board, very casual, very relaxed, lots of fun, an opportunity to meet great people. Maritimers traveling back and forth from Quebec into their home province, as well as travelers and tourists from around the country, and it's known for the entertainment that's provided in that lounge car at the back of the train. Again, the onboard dining on Via Rail is of such a high standard. Interesting to note, in the Via Rail Prestige, which is the 5-star service operated on the Canadian that travels from Toronto to Vancouver, the meals for the 5-star guests are exactly the same as the meals for the other guests in the standard levels of sleeping accommodation on board. That just shows that, you know, the standard is incredibly high at the base level. The 5-star Prestige passengers receive a few extra perks. They get preferential seating in the dining car. They also receive wine and additional courses with their meals, but the meals are of the same incredibly high standard, regardless of whether you're in first or standard class on the train. Just such a relaxing way to experience Canada. Anyone who's done these journeys, you know, when you hop on the train, the corridor service with Via Rail between Toronto and Quebec City has Wi-Fi, so you can use your devices. But for many people, rail travel is an opportunity just to relax, switch off, enjoy being in a contained environment where you can move around and explore different places on the train. But you know, you don't have to. You can kind of park your cares and worries and not check your social media for the duration of that journey. So the destination of the Eastern Canada itinerary is Halifax, where there's an included excursion to Peggy's Cove as well. The next of the itineraries for exploring Canada by train is the Canadian Rockies Discovery eastbound. So here you're going to be flying into Vancouver, or if you're based in Western Canada, starting from Vancouver, there's the 3 nights in Vancouver with sightseeing, including an excursion over to to Vancouver Island. However, if you're based in Vancouver, again, you can exclude those additional components, you know, in Vancouver and Victoria if you so wish. So this is an opportunity to travel up through the Canadian Rockies, the most beautiful and scenic section of the Canadian route by train. It is an overnight journey from Vancouver into Jasper. However, that journey is timed in such a way with a departure from Vancouver at 4 in the afternoon, arriving in the foothills of the Canadian Rockies at around 6 in the morning, that you have the last 6 hours of the journey between dawn and about noon or lunchtime arrival in Jasper to experience the most scenic section by daylight. So hopefully from your perch in the panorama car. So you're going to have that time in Vancouver with the included city pass that will get you around to all the great attractions, as well as time to enjoy Vancouver independently, which is just, you know, it's just such a beautiful place. I never tire of walking or jogging around the Stanley Park seawall. And that excursion over to Victoria, so you will see the beautiful Parliament Butchart Gardens and have the opportunity, if you so wish, to have a high tea at the Empress Hotel. And then it's off on Via Rail again with that afternoon departure from Vancouver up through the Rockies, and you're going to be passing through the most scenic section from the Okanagan Valley into Jasper by daylight in the morning. There's an example, a little bit of a sample of what the meals on board Via Rail are like. That's the rack of lamb. A little bit more about the accommodation on the Via Rail overnight trains. There are several levels of sleeper accommodation, starting with a berth. Now, a berth is a shared compartment, so you're put together with another passenger if you're traveling solo. If you're a couple traveling together, naturally, you would have, you know, the berth to share. The seats convert overnight into bunk beds, which are separated by a heavy curtain for privacy. So that is, you know, that's your first level of sleeping accommodation, bearing in mind that with the berth, as with any of the other sleeper plus categories on Via Rail, your 3 meals per day are provided. The next level up from the berth are the bedrooms. You can get it's actually called a cabin for 1 or a cabin for 2 on Via Rail. There you see the cabin for two, large lounge chairs, big panoramic window. You have a vanity in your compartment. However, your washroom and shower is down the hall, private, but shared at the end of the rail car. And then you can upgrade to the amazing prestige with that wood-paneled stateroom and the beautiful ensuite facilities, concierge service. Arriving in the Rockies, you have that excursion through the incredible Jasper National Park. That is Moline Canyon. So many beautiful sights to explore through Jasper National Park. And then you will have the journey down the Icefields Parkway to Banff and the sightseeing tour through Banff National Park as well, and an overnight in Lake Louise, and a chance at Lake Louise to enjoy all the wonderful activities that you can do on the lake. Amazing hikes round into the mountains behind the Chateau Lake Louise. You can canoe or kayak on the lake, or just relax in the historical Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise. There's an included tour of Johnson Canyon as well, which has a beautiful boardwalk that takes you down to the lower falls. So it's a gentle hike for those who may not be up for more rigorous hiking on uneven terrain. So a great way to sort of have that ability to get up close and personal with the Canadian Rockies. And your itinerary terminates in Calgary. So you can fly back to Vancouver or on to your next destination. The last of the packages that we'll be looking at today is the Grand Circle of the Canadian Rockies, which combines Via Rail and Rocky Mountaineer in one itinerary. So here you're going to be starting Vancouver, traveling up to Jasper on Via Rail in a fashion very similar to what we've just looked at, where you will get to see the most scenic parts of the Canadian Rockies on that overnight rail journey from Vancouver up to Jasper. You'll then have your journey down the Icefields Parkway and overnight in Banff, and then down to Vancouver on the Rocky Mountaineer with the overnight in Kamloops, so that you do the entire journey in daylight, enjoying the incredible scenery all along the route. Rocky Mountaineer, if you're not familiar with it, is an absolute Canadian icon, famous luxury daytime sightseeing train. And the concept with Rocky Mountaineer is that it only travels by day. So you stop overnight in Kamloops en route from Banff down to Vancouver, so that you don't miss anything. You don't miss any of the scenery. You're traveling by daylight throughout the journey. So there's no sleeping accommodation on board. You're in a seat in one of two categories of accommodation. There's silver leaf and gold leaf. The train has single level and double level rail cars. Silver leaf is the single decker rail car where your meals are served to you at your seat. Regardless of which of those categories you're in, Rocky Mountaineer is renowned for unparalleled service, incredible cuisine, and wonderful commentary being provided to you by very knowledgeable guides throughout the journey. In Gold Leaf, you have that double-decker rail car with a seating area up top under the glass dome, panoramic windows, and the restaurant section down below where the included meals are served. There's another look at the Silverleaf carriage. Again, wonderful gourmet dining. No, this is actually, I apologize. This is the dining car on the lower level of the Gold Leaf carriage. So, and you do get a sense of the standard of cuisine, beautifully presented, and completely uncompromising commitment to service and quality with Rocky Mountaineer. And you're going to be overnighting again in Kamloops in the Okanagan en route down to Vancouver, so that you don't miss anything. In Banff, the included admission to the Banff Gondola up to the top of Sulphur Mountain with those absolutely stunning views over the town of Banff, and the surrounding Rockies. Time in Lake Louise, your excursion through Jasper National Park, all included as part of this itinerary as well. So really, the big difference here with this particular package is that you have that unique opportunity to combine two very different types of rail travel experience: the overnight train with Via, sleeping on board, which is a kind of a bucket list experience for many people. And then doing all those excursions and experiences through the Rockies and traveling in the other direction in Rocky Mountaineer, terminating in Vancouver. So hopefully, folks, that has given you some ideas for exploring Canada by train, whether it's combining Via and Rocky Mountaineer, whether it's going across Canada with a interlude in the Canadian Rockies, taking in Banff and Jasper, whether it's doing this straight shot across the country, 4 days and 4 nights on board the train with the opportunity to see the scenery changing and enjoying Canada and really getting the feel for the country from your vantage point in the glass-domed panorama car on board the train. We would love to talk further with you about any vacation ideas that you may have sparked your interest, in today's presentation. With that, I'm going to conclude and open up the question panel to see if there are any questions that may have come in. Okay. Thank you, Krista. That's great to hear. I see a question here from Karen, who's one of our travel agent partners, which, Karen, I'm going to answer offline. I'm going to give you a call after the presentation just to discuss that with you further. Valerie is asking meals for vegans and vegetarians. The answer to that, Valerie, is absolutely. VRL caters for any kind of special meal requirements. Vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, even if you have special ethnic meals that you'd like to request, similar to what you would with an airline. If you give us advance notice, 72 hours in advance, we can absolutely arrange that for you through VRL. Folks, those appear to be all the questions that have come in this morning. So with that, I'd like to say thanks so much for your time, for taking the time to learn a little bit more about Railbookers. I would encourage anybody on today's presentation, if you're interested in anything that you've seen today, to get in touch with your travel agent. Travel agents are experts. They understand all the issues related to booking travel. And we've all learned, I think, the hard way over the last 18 months that things can get very complex with travel planning. And really, to my way of thinking, travel agents are the heroes of the COVID pandemic, who've been able to save people so much inconvenience, and in many cases, enable people to return to Canada in very difficult situations, being stranded during the pandemic. Booking a trip, inquiring about any kind of travel is best done through an agent. So please, if you're interested, give your agent a call. Thank you so much again. Wherever your travels may take you, bon voyage, and we'll see you on another webinar soon. Just a quick, I see another question came in from Richard asking, do you only do trips across Canada? Richard, no, we do trips all over the world, in the US, in Europe, in Alaska, and worldwide. So you can find rail travel pretty much anywhere with Railbookers. Folks, thanks again so much, and stay safe. Bye for now.